We're here to take another roll of the Roll for Crit podcast, the official podcast for rollforcrit.com. Watch, shop, play. I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estis, and I want to start this week by clearing the air a little bit and letting the people know that we apologize. We were asked to be part of the tabletop showcase, but we were very busy and had to decline. I don't know if you heard about this tabletop showcase.
No, I did not.
Well, five other board game podcasts are teaming up to twice a year do a bunch of videos focus on a specific game. Mm-hmm. We weren't asked to be a part of it. It's
because we'd win.
We'd make them feel bad with how good we are. But it's this is mini news. It's Watch It Played, Paradise, Pair of Dice, Paradise, and a few others, and like twice a year.
I like how you named June. Like, I don't want to name the rest.
You can look it up. Twice a year, they're going to focus on one game and do a ton of videos over like a whole week exploring every part of it. And the publishers are going to get involved. They're going to interview and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting. I do like the idea of really focusing in on one game in depth that you don't always.
Well, certain
see that
games
much.
you sort of have to.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to when you talked about probably and Struggle,
right?
Not Imperium.
Both.
Both probably, but
yeah. Go on.
No, I'm done.
Anyway, I also this is more important though. This is a real piece of bonus news that's really exciting. You're gonna like this. About a month ago now, I think. Wow. We did all our interviews from PhD Speed Gaming, and we talked to the guys from USAopoly.
Yeah.
You'll remember the highlight was the Golden Girls puzzle.
Yep.
And we joked about Golden Girls' other properties.
You joked. I was serious.
Well, they really did announce a Golden Girls edition of Clue that is coming out. In this version of the game, the mystery is who ate the last slice of cheesecake. So he knew that he must have known that was in the works, and he played it coy while we made those jokes. He could have given us the scoop, but he didn't. So I'm upset about that. So yeah,
Jonathan is a big Golden Girls fan.
You know I am.
Even a bigger Clue fan.
Yeah, put the two together, I'm there. So lots of that fun stuff going on. Very much to talk about. So very much to talk about. But in actual real news, there's a couple cool announcements. The first one is Z-Man Games announced that they are going to be publishing this game number 9, or number 9, if you want to read it that way, because there's no vowels in the title. So this is actually a game that has been released in other regions outside of the US, and unbeknownst to me until I had learned more about it, because we don't always get a chance to play those games, it has tons of hype surrounding it. A lot of people, it seems like, are considering this a fair contender for Spiel des Jahres winner or nominee at the very least.
Interesting.
So big deal. Essentially, it's a simple game where you have a bunch of Tetris-style pieces.
I had a feeling judging by the box art.
Yeah, it's a little similar to that. Numbered 1 through 9, so not Tetris, it's non-tris. And you're going to be making your own piles individually. Each player has a pile of those pieces. I don't know what you call them, not tetraminos or tetraminos or whatever. And there are certain rules. Each turn you're going to be playing a certain number depending on what cards you have and layering them on top of each other. And the first layer is worth no points at the end of the game. The second layer, each one is worth its own value. The third layer, they're multiplied by 2. If you did get to a fourth layer, they'd be multiplied by 3, and so on. And there are rules, like you have to place them in certain ways so they both fit into a correct configuration and they don't cover up certain other parts of it. But it sounds like there's a lot of good buzz behind it, and it can be played both solo and with a large group, but there's no shared pool. It sounds like everybody is doing their own
tower
little workshop thing. Okay. So I don't know. That's almost reminded me maybe of like Patchwork. Is sort of that
That's
way.
exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you does it sound like a boy? Give me that game Spiel des Jahres to you?
I think it could be depending on how actually it works. I mean, you actually see it. I mean, it could turn out to be not as big, but now I know we have Red 7.
Uh-huh.
We have number 9. Where did 8 go?
Well, we have... Oh, no, wait. So maybe 7, 8, 8. We have Uno. Mm-hmm. Can we put together a full list of numbers to make... This is our new top 10 list.
Top 10 number games.
That's a little tease for later in the show. But
I guess actually there is an 8. There's Crazy 8s.
Crazy 8s, yeah. As you said, Red 7.
Mm-hmm. We'll work on this. We'll work on this.
A game based on Adam Sandler's The Ridiculous 6 would be a shoo-in for the number 6. Let us leave your comments below. But yeah, it sounds cool. It definitely sounds like the Spiel des Jahres type of game.
Abstract, but still...
And very easy to pick up, with some level of depth. I do wonder if it will be... Because last year I know we were sort of...
disappointed.
We weren't really big on any of those Spiel des Jahres nominees, but sounds like real people do really like this game a lot. Whereas, for instance, like Cult Express... I don't remember anybody really talking about. I mean, it got talked about, but not in the way that I have heard. I've seen online people's opinions on this game. It sounds like it is really a big hit around the board. So that's coming out June 28th. So very soon you'll be able to try that out in America. Another game that we have enjoyed in the past is 51st State.
Mm-hmm, and it's finally getting an expansion.
That's right. And it may be familiar to you if you have played the original 51st State. Mm-hmm. It is called Ruins, and this, just like the old Ruins expansion was, but this they've said is a reworking of that expansion.
Which makes sense considering the game's a rework of...
Right. It's a reboot, Of course, Winter and what's the other one that they come in the base game? Winter and something.
Yeah.
It's not summer. So I guess technically this is like the third expansion.
Technically, but it's a first
first non-included expansion. What's different about this? It is called Ruins. If you'll recall, ruins are if you have a location destroyed, it becomes ruins. You're going to be able to take some of those actually back for yourself from the discard pile, and there may be like bonus points awarded for actually having ruins. So it may not necessarily be as much of a disadvantage if someone destroys your stuff, or at least there'll be more of a silver lining to it, which I think is very interesting because that could add a lot to the meta game.
And when I combine this with Imperial Settlers,
you will have a mess of cards that you don't want to do anything together with. So that sounds cool. There's some other stuff in there. Like I think basically it sounds like more defensive maybe capabilities, more to do with the PvP.
Yeah,
aspects.
If I recall, we were pretty aggressive in our game. I feel like every turn I did an attack.
Certainly some people were pretty aggressive. I don't think I was one of them.
No, you weren't. I'm saying like I feel like our game had a lot of aggression, I'm saying.
Yes, no, for sure. And I think we talked about that 51st State encourages that more so, I would say, than Imperial Settlers.
Well, I feel
a little more.
A little bit more. I feel like when you have, little gun wooden meeples.
When there's guns in your game, yeah, that's bound to happen. So that's cool that they're continuing on with that line. It's a popular franchise. I'm hoping we may not get up to 51 if we're continuing our numbered games list from 1 through 51.
That would be, if people could actually look up and we in the comment section, if we could actually get like Uno and then someone comes with a 2 and then a 3 and we actually can go all the way to 1001 Arabian Nights.
They don't. It's only called Tales of Arabian Nights, so we're off the hook on that.
Well, there may be a different game that's called that.
You may be right, but let's hope not. Yeah, I don't even. How about that number games?
Well, no, we have to make it to 504.
Yikes! That's all I have to say is yikes. Kickstarters. We have them. You want them. And the first one that I will bring to you today is called Carthage. I think that's how you say it, right?
I'm pretty sure that's how you say it.
Carthage.
But I'm not the person to ask about pronunciations.
No, you're not. This is a gladiatorial-themed game that for once, is something from the Roman era that is not a Euro-style bidding game. It is actually a deck-building game, but with a board, and you do have gladiators that you are going to be moving around, and each turn you're going to have 5 cards from your deck, and you must play all of them, and you play one at a time in turn order. So you're going to be interspersed and reacting to what everybody else is doing.
So it's not like I'm going to empty out my hand, your turn.
Exactly. You're going to have time to maybe change your strategy up a little bit. And essentially those cards will be letting you move, attack, defend, etc. And then afterwards you're going to be spending, I think they're called favor points, I think. And those are, you can either buy new cards to upgrade your deck, but they also let you do other things like take something out of your discard pile. So that's how you would cull down your deck or whatever. Which I like that your points aren't strictly for buying new cards. You kind of have other options in that regard.
Well, not only that the culling, to me, a good deck building game needs to have a good culling mechanic that's reasonably reachable to everyone. I've played a couple where that isn't, or there's only one card that does it, and I feel that if that one person gets it, well, guess what? Game's over. No,
my thoughts exactly. I think it's great that it's built in. It's not, you don't need a card to do it, which is great. And I feel like there isn't really a great gladiator game.
Colosseum?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a great theme that could be explored more. So I'm excited to check that out. That's Carthage, and that one goes for a certain amount of money that I'll find on my phone in 4 seconds. $43. So look for that. And now, this is not ancient Rome, but it does have, seems like, some Latin in the title. What's this?
So this is a sin tempore, I think I'm saying that right?
No, probably not, but it sounds great.
I apologize in advance.
I think it's a type of fried Japanese dish.
I'm terrible pronouncing things, but in this game it's sort of it's a cooperative game where you each choose sort of these sci-fi heroes to play as. And there's actually a map, and you choose different spots, and then you draw a random mission card, which will set up the board for different enemies. And what's really cool about that is, depending on where you go, you can maybe go this way on the map or this way, which leads to 3 different endings, I think was the number, which is sort of cool. So it's sort of the story splits up. And the enemies will attack. You actually can build threat, like in a regular MMO, and that's who the enemies go for, which is cool. And when you...
aggro, as it were?
Yeah, aggro, yes. And you actually have a skill tree. Each character has a skill tree, and you can unlock certain skills. But you can only bring 5 with you each time on a mission. And you actually have a little hole you're supposed to put in your character card and stuff. Sort of like Scythe. You know how you almost put things in?
Right, it's got a little indentation.
Yeah. So I thought that was, it felt very gamey to me, which I really liked in terms of this customization of while you could be the scion, character, the psychic kind of guy, you still have a lot of abilities. You just got to choose which 5 you think would be the best to bring in with you. And I think it sounded really cool, and sort of the fact that there's different endings can bring for more interesting story and map elements. They've already hit a lot of stretch goals, so there's a lot more, I think at least 3 new heroes. Some new villains, including one who's a Kickstarter exclusive, who's pretty much Darth Vader, it looks like, for a boss.
Okay, why not?
Yeah, so I think it just looked really fun if you're into that sort of the cooperative, almost dungeon crawl-esque kind of games, but with a sci-fi twist. I really thought it looked. I definitely wanted to sit down and play it after I read through it.
I like the idea of, as you said, the 5-point kind of loadout too, because it's not knowing exactly how this game works. It guarantees you can't be too overpowered. You're not, even if you have a bunch of cool abilities or whatever. If you're only bringing so much.
And the other thing is you can't make overpowered abilities, because you can't be like, all right, he's gonna unlock everything. You could be like, well, you can get all these, but you can only bring this in with you or something.
It's sort of the same thing, I guess, we see in miniatures games where you have points to put into.
Right.
I feel like more games should incorporate that outside of those genres. Cause I like that. It's cool.
This is a miniatures game, by the way, and I think it's in the expansion there. There are it's a new enemy group, and it includes just robots, and this is one. Their boss robot just is amazing looking miniature, and it's big. So
you gotta like minis. Well, this one goes for $89 or $99. $99.
It's a big miniature.
It's got them minis in there. Yep. So if you like that, you'll like this. It was funded in 34 minutes, according to their image. Next up is Rise of the Necromancers. You all know I like necromancers.
Oh yeah.
It's something I introduce myself that at parties. When every once in a while I will just go to a party uninvited, someone I don't know.
Bring some skeletons along.
Hello, I'm Jonathan. I like necromancers, and they call the police. So in this game, you are all playing as necromancers. It's sort of a territory control, almost reminded me of like a Cthulhu Wars-esque type of game where you have a map and you're trying to gain control of the different regions as the necromancer. You aren't really fighting each other directly, but you kind of are. You'll leave behind minions in certain regions, and other people can go in and try to kick you out of that place, or they can complete a quest there to do certain things. What I thought was cool about it is you start the game with multiple choices of necromancers, and you don't have to reveal which one you're sticking with until you're ready to play it. So people won't necessarily know at the start what you're trying to do. There are, I think, 6 or maybe less, I don't remember, different colors of like types of spells. 4, was it?
Because there are 4 classes. I think it was like Mist, Blood, Bone, and Decay.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know why I thought 6. And they said you can specialize in one, or you could go for a mix of all of them, which is a nice option. Hopefully that's as viable a strategy.
Well, I think it always depends on what other people are doing. So
true, but yeah.
Yeah, no, and I looked at this too, and it looked really cool because there are a lot of different units to build, which is fun. There's like undead dragons, I think like knights, regular zombies, ghosts. And of course you have to get corpses too to build them.
Right, you have to find resources and all that stuff. Like each location has its own abilities of different cards you get to draw. And
there are dungeons for you to raid, but you may run into heroes in there.
Yeah, so it sounded really fun, really interesting. And I like the amount of variety that it sounds like there is from game to game, and what your opponents are going to be doing is different.
And I'm really excited with the stretch goals. They haven't hit some of them yet, but like they went and they said just in case we hit really high. One of them is your units, which are currently just pieces, like cardboard pieces, would actually be mini. So just imagine some skeletal dragons and knights just on the field.
No, that would be awesome. Yeah, I hope they get there. So if you're interested, Rise of the Necromancers, that's on the cheaper end for this episode, $59. Actually, it's not. It's our second most expensive game. Why do I even say words?
Because you came from 90 to then.
Seems like a step down. And then finally, let's get out of the realm of these heavy type games
and start questioning our sanity.
Yeah, I've got a theory about this one.
Yes, it is called. It's just a theory. And the idea is you're all sort of conspiracy theorists, and you all have cards and you're trying to do your chain of like being like. The government has a secret base, which is for, and then you have these green cards. It's like for drugs because of lizard people and this, and then you try to reach the end, and then that's why people will always say prefer bacon over like some other. It's like like the, but you and I try to score points. The more cards I can play, the better. But if you have a card, like if I say like if I put down like the drug card, for example, and you have one of the green cards like drugs are poisonous because you can take over the conspiracy.
Okay.
To get points. Or if you think you can make a better one, people can actually vote. And like, no. They have the secret base because of this.
Now, I will say I looked at this one briefly, and kind of my initial thought was I liked the theme, but is this just another kind of Cards Against Humanity thing?
No, it definitely has that sort of feel, but I still enjoy it because it was. I like the game where almost as if the game itself isn't as fun, but with the right group it is. Because the fun is going to be, not just saying like lizards, drugs. It's going to be like, all right, there's this base. And in there, you're not going to believe it, there's freaking lizard people. And you know what they're doing? They're taking all the Flintstone vitamins.
So more of a potential for like a storytelling aspect.
Right, and I think that's why the idea is fun. Because I feel like we definitely have... At least most of our group can be like that and actually bring that sort of fun element to the table.
Yeah, we know who to invite and who not to invite.
This only goes for, I think it's about $22 American.
25, I
25,
think.
yeah.
Maybe 20, I don't know.
But that's where I think if you have the kind of group that is willing to go that sort of extra mile role-playing it almost, then this is definitely going to be a fun game for you.
Cool. As I said, definitely a cool theme. Conspiracy theories are fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, does not come with tinfoil.
Maybe it's a stretch goal.
Oh, no, that should be a stretch goal. we go out to the grocery store and buy tinfoil.
Now, piggybacking real quick off Kickstarters, I just want to get some meeple galleries in here.
We're heading down to the meeple.
Because Mark Hinajosa, sorry, said he...
Before we continue, this is a reminder to everyone, we're apologizing how we read your usernames or real names.
I'll apologize for nothing. I just did. Said he backed and is totally looking forward to Farsight. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. So that's cool. Let us know which ones you liked that we're talking about. And Ray...
Let us know if you actually do back them. We're always curious.
And I'm sure that the people who make them want to know if we help them get more hits. So help their marketing teams. I don't know. Sorry. Ray Dexter posted a link from when we talked about the Doomtown, which is coming back from that other developer
back
now.
From the grave.
Doomtown Reloaded. They officially said they're doing their first Kickstarter for it in July for their first set that they're going to be publishing, which I think is it's an expansion. So not like a reboot, because it's all still going to be part of the same thing.
Right.
So that's cool. If you're a Doomtown fan, you can look forward to that. I don't know if you saw last week's episode, but I did include a snippet in our blooper reel of your brother Matt moving the camera and me yelling at him. And Ivan commented to clarify that was not him behind the camera. He wanted people to know he's a professional. He did not do that, and it was not him I was threatening.
It was Ivan.
Yeah, so thank you for those comments. As always, we appreciate it. You can leave your thoughts and opinions below. Now, this week...
And now sort of writing, again, off the Meeple Gallery now,
yes.
We've gotten a lot of comments for us to make a top 10 list.
Yes, and we're doing it. We're doing it right now.
Finally going to it.
We're going to start... this seems to be the trend, real hot. It just started, I think, the last week or so.
You'll never guess what's on our list.
We're right on that wave of top 10s. We might even be the first ones to do it. I haven't checked, but I think we maybe have pioneered the idea. So we're doing our list we each made separately of our own top 10 favorite board games.
Board and card games.
Board and card, not role-playing, not... HeroClix miniatures. Board and card, our top 10 favorites. And before we start, I don't know, are there any clarifications or excuses you want to make?
Well, remember, if we missed a game and it's not on our list, maybe we just totally forgot it and so we feel really stupid. I'm sure you're going to say things and be like, oh yeah. Second, right. We might not have played it. So just because it's not on here does not mean, that
we don't like it. I also want to say what I said to you earlier, which is that this is our favorite games, not the games we think are the best. So, for instance, something like chess, as a very broad example, which might be like one of the most well-designed or certainly the most ubiquitous, popular games in the world, that's not going to be on our list, I
Actually,
think.
it's number 2.
Because we're just going, or at least for me, it was games that I have enjoyed playing the most and that I look forward to playing the most.
Right, like Taco Bell. You look forward to eating it, but it's not one of the best foods out there.
Sure, I'll take any Taco Bell reference we can get on this podcast.
Please send us free naked chicken nuggets.
So you'll be able to see and judge us for that. We've said in the past we generally go more for the thematic type of games. We aren't as big into the Euro games, but we'll see how much of the crossover there is on our lists. We don't know each other's lists, so this will be a real roller coaster ride for us.
Yeah.
First time we've ever done this, so our top 10 games of all our entire lives that we've played up to this point.
Right.
A lot of pressure.
My top 5 are all different versions of Monopoly.
We did each allow ourselves one honorable mention.
So what's your...
That is not on our official
honorable
top
mention?
10s. My honorable mention is Mage Knight. The Ignacy Trevicek, Vlada Fatil. They're both my favorite designers, so I get them mixed up. Vlada designed game. I think it's a beautiful masterpiece of a game. I just wish we haven't had the time to dedicate to it enough for me to really, really put it on my list and feel comfortable with it. But I do think it's amazing.
Yeah, mine honorable is actually Magic the Gathering. You know,
Interesting.
I do think I'm not, especially now, I'm not as big of a fan of the CCG style just because I rather just have everything. But I mean, I've been playing it for almost since I was in grade school, on and off. And I really do think it's actually designed well. Like, I think the game itself is great, and I love the story and the art and everything. So, I just, the CCG, I don't want to feel like the CCG thing is the only reason that it's not bad for other things. That's really the only reason holding me back so much.
That's a really good honorable mention pick. To me, that's almost like in the same category as chess, where it's or as an RPG. Like, it almost seems like it's not even a board, like it's so another genre.
Well, and that's why I like the CCG. I feel like is just such an unfair comparisons in some ways.
Yeah.
But I felt like that's why I need to make it honorable.
Great pick. All right. So who's gonna go first?
I will.
All right.
My number 10 is no way gonna be high on the Board Game Geek list. I'm sure no one's even heard of it. Is Dino Hunt. I love that game.
Keep going.
It's, in essence, you are all playing as time-traveling zookeepers, going back in time to capture dinosaurs. It's from Steve Jackson Games. It's not that complicated a game. It's pretty much you roll dice to see if you're able to capture the dinosaur. You can change your odds because different equipment, crew members, but opponents can play malfunctions on you. And each dinosaur card also had little information on each dinosaur on the back. I thought it was an awesome game as a kid. I still love it. And I know it's not the greatest, but that's why it's my number 10.
Okay, well, this is definitely the point where many people just stopped the video and said, guess I don't need to clear their list. I guess nostalgia may be somewhat of a factor in your choices, or at least in that choice.
In that one. No, that one definitely is my nostalgia
All right,
pick.
I mean, sure, that's valid. Not the direction I'm going, but Dino Hunt, I've played it. It's got its charms.
I mean, if it can, a lot of my games are like, if someone said, "Could we play it?" I'm gonna be excited to bring it to the table.
I feel you. We don't need to apologize anymore. People know at this point who we are and what we're about. No shame. My number 10 is Firefly the Game. Firefly is one of my all-time favorite TV shows, and this game does an amazing job of capturing that atmosphere, that essence. Even though I wish there were a really solid co-op, either variant or everybody on the same ship as crew of the Serenity. That's really my dream. But other than that,
we're getting Star Path. The Pathfinder. Oh,
Starfinder.
Starfinder. That's what it is.
Yeah, but aside from that, for the game as it is, I really do love it. We've talked about it plenty on the show before, so I don't need to go too far into it. It is definitely more of a solo thing. Then they have the PvP expansions. It goes on very long. I have gripes with it for sure, but overall, that's why it's number 10. But it's just, I have great memories and we have some of the best stories of games from playing Firefly. So.
Yeah, and it somehow topped Battlestar in terms of the most backstabby move in existence.
You'll have to watch episode number to go find that. All right, so you're number 9.
No, let's go.
Oh, you wanted
I think
2 and 2 each? All right, sure, why not? My number 9 is Hanabi. So almost like the complete opposite of Firefly. Very
short and
small.
cooperative.
Yeah, working together, tiny box, just a bunch of cards. But it's just such a unique concept and unique, well thought out design that there's a few other games where we've seen them take the elements of not being able to look at your own cards. But none of them, I feel, have ever really done it as elegantly or as entertainingly as Hanabi has done it. The fact that you can't speak, it's just anytime you play that with a group of people, I almost feel like it's going to create, it's like a great icebreaker game. You're going to become closer to them, or maybe you get madder at them for doing the wrong thing. It's really a great exercise in that regard, and just simple, fun, small. I didn't try to do any kind of balance of light or heavy on my list.
No, I mean, I'm looking at my list, I feel like.
But that's in there.
I could probably use some.
That's one of the lighter ones on my list. Most of mine, I think, actually are on the heavier side. But Hanabi, I mean, you've probably played it. It's fantastic. All right. You're number 9.
Is the King of Tokyo and also King of New York, they're the same thing series, I would say. I mean, I'm always been a big fan of the kaiju. And this is one of the early ones. It's very simple, so it's easy to teach people, I feel, but still I think there's still plenty of fun, weird strategies. Like, some of us have gone for points. Meanwhile, my brother goes to the straight up, I'm going into Tokyo and I'm going to hit all of you. So I still feel, and while I prefer, I think, while I like the map of New York in terms of, because there's a bit more strategy to it, I like the monsters from Tokyo more because I feel like they have more of that classic kaiju, like the King Kong, the Godzilla, though not them because that would be copyright.
Yeah, no, King of Tokyo is awesome. It's definitely...
It's one I feel like we haven't played in a while I really want to get back to.
Yeah. I don't know what you were dismaying about, but I think that's on the lighter side for sure. But that's a good solid pick. And your number 8? Yeah.
My number 8 is Battle for Souls.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite 2-player games. And I love the concept. I think it does... I love anything that dips itself into a mythos, into like, whether it, but usually we see Norse, Egyptian. This is Christianity, and to me, I think it does a great job doing that without, I feel, being preachy. Like, I feel like a lot of times you just see, it's the Bible game. Like, it just feels like a bad, just trying to convince people, like, get into.
Yeah.
When it comes to any of the modern religions, this just is like, this is angels, these are demons. And you're fighting for soul. I think it just is a lot of fun interplay between going the back and forth between the 2 players, and I've always loved playing it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. I don't think I have any 1v1 games on my list. That's usually I get scared of those games.
No, that's fair, and I think because a lot of times it just the ones I can think of, the other 2 off the top of my head right now, are that. Outside of, I'm not counting Magic the Gathering, but like we're BioShock and Twilight Struggle. And I feel both of them are so much, like, this has some strategy going back and forth, but those I feel like are so, like, territory control, and, like, I feel like one wrong move and then, like, everything collapses.
It's a lot to manage, micromanage in your head, yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I so far, I bet no one could have predicted your list. I like it. I like that you have some of these more obscure titles. I think that's cool.
Trust. I've got another one. I think after this, it's sort of. But there's one more on that there's no. It's not a common.
I didn't think I was going to be the sane one on this episode. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. What is this? Number 8 for me
Yeah.
now. My number 8 is Space Alert. And a lot of what I said about Hanabi, I think I almost can bring over to this game as well, whereas it's such a super fun experience for a group. And also like Hanabi, I feel like as far as the real-time genre is concerned in board games, I don't think anyone else has done it as well as Space Alert, honestly. I think that's still the one you look at if you're going to make one of these. One of the best. Even the rule book is like one of the best rule books. Everything from top to bottom in that game is very, very just perfect, honestly.
Just don't trip.
Yeah, even when it's super frustrating. I mean, you're not going to have...
It is one of those games also when you have hilarious stories of like,
oh, yeah.
I went to the elevator. You just know that your entire turn now is just...
I think that's a common theme of my games, too, that I like, is the ones you get to talk about the next day with your friends that you're just hysterically laughing about. And then, do I do my number 7?
Yep.
I don't understand the format of our show.
Well, I just feel like this way it's not just done.
We're doing it. It's fine. It's fine. Number 7 for me is Mysterium.
Oh, I forgot about Mysterium.
This is, I think, by far the newest game on my list. And I think something like Dixit almost could have gone in this slot also, but I like Mysterium more, and it's the same category. But as far as party games are concerned, I feel like this is very close to the top of the list. The creativity that comes from not being able to speak and trying to understand each other's clues, and again, as a cooperative experience that that creates for very funny stories and bonding with each other. Especially the American version, the art and design is beautiful. It's all around a great package.
Yeah, well, I think the other thing is, when you brought up Dixit, while they both are similar, I think one of the reasons why this is over Dixit for you is, while both of them have interpreting, one of the big things I think for you and for me is puzzles. And unlike Dixit, when it's just like, it's sort of a puzzle, but it's more knowing the person. I feel like this is like, okay, he gave me this card and this card. This has a lion on it, and this card's mostly green. Yeah. And so like, there's a lot more, I think, puzzle solving because you're trying to fit within.
There also is a theme, whereas Dixit is totally abstract, other than your rabbits are racing each other. All right, and your number 7.
My number 7 is the DC deck building game.
Okay.
Probably because I think one reason, maybe not for you, but I actually do have a lot of silly stories involving this game. So I have that kind of talk, like, and inside jokes with a lot of people I play this with. And to me, it's almost a party game to me because it's simple enough that we just like, hey, you want to, and just hits the table a lot. And I've always enjoyed it because then you see the entire cast from the DC universe. It's always fun to be like, oh, there's Superman, there's Batman, and just it's just a lot of fun. It just gets it's the classic deck building.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you points for putting it that low on your list. Actually, I feel like you showed a lot of restraint in that regard.
Well, I mean, I do enjoy it, but to me, as much as I enjoyed the DC deck building game, and I have every expansion, all the other ones, if you were to say, would you rather play this or this? I think I'd rather play this.
I feel you.
All right, so
give us one of those.
My next one is Arkham Horror, the board game. This one definitely is a lot of nostalgia, and to me, is actually one of my favorite single-player games. I actually really like when I played it by myself, I just laid it out on the ground, like in a place that no one walks, and I've just play like almost like a video game. I play for like an hour or so, and then I stop. And I really enjoyed because it really is a video game. I mean, there's equipment deck, there's an artifact deck. You actually have money. It feels like a video game. It should be programmed as a video game. I don't know why they haven't done a digital version of that yet.
Yeah, seems. Yeah, I think it's
even then, because it's a little bit loaded because it's so long, and that's why I wish there was a digital version that we could save to play with, so you can play with other people and save. But I still have stories from that too. Like, there's a time when we played and I got devoured by turn 2. Or the time when I first introduced it to my brother, I'm like, okay, we need to close portals and do this. He's like, can I just play the hobo with a shotgun? I'm like, yeah, sure, I guess. And he did amazing. He actually saved the game for us.
Do you want to comment Eldritch Horror, or might that spoil something?
No, it will not. And I think
I'm curious
I know, because I feel like that's almost like King of Tokyo and New York almost. They're so very similar. And while both of them are fun, and I think I'd probably take out Eldritch with other people, to me, Arkham, because of the single-player aspect, is so much fun, and because it's just so much more, like there's different decks, it just feels that, to me, it's more like a personal favorite. Though I think, honestly, Eldritch is probably better to have, just because I think it's a little bit better for the multiplayer aspect.
Okay. Respectable. I'm with you. All right, so next is my number 6, which is, I didn't intend this, Cyclades. Cyclades.
That doesn't work for a number list.
No, it doesn't. Cyclades, the game of Greek bidding and gods.
Very early in our history of board games.
Yeah, pretty early on, and I just feel that it really is one of the best designed games that I've played. I think it's the perfect intersection of what we were talking about before, of Eurogame and more thematic games, because it has the bidding and it has the
territory control,
pretty balanced territory control and combat, but with enough randomness and like chance with the different cards that come out, and the bidding creates for different strategies that can come about. And the theme is really fun. Easily my favorite Greek god mythology game. So I love Cyclades.
I will say, just going back to mine, I just realized you can also blame Arkham Horror for my obsession with Lovecraft. That really is the one that started it.
Yeah, and from one set of gods to another.
Right.
So that's a great one at number 6. And at my number 5, getting into the top 5.
Ooh, this is where things get interesting.
My number 5 is Cosmic Encounter. One of the things I value most in a game, in addition to theme, is replayability. And I think it's very hard to top Cosmic Encounter on that front. There are so many aliens, even in just
in the base. I mean, you have like this many, and you you don't have every expansion.
And the variability between games of how things play out, depending on which aliens people are using, is
and who's in your group,
uncountable. That's another one where it's all about negotiation. Really, it's a negotiation game. It's very chaotic. Lots of randomness, and if you don't like that and you don't like negotiating with people, you won't be into it.
No, this definitely is I feel like a game that really, there's certain games that, depending on who sits at the table, can make and break. And this so does, because if you have just people who don't agree to make deals or will always agree to make deals, I feel like...
Yes, it's very much like a party style game, but you do, I feel, need to play it a few times to get a sense of the right moves to make at the right times.
Right.
So I mean, and it's been around forever. It's like since like the 70s, I think the original version came out. So it stood the test of time. Now, I believe so far we have shared 0 games across our lists, right? We haven't had anything in common yet.
No.
So that's interesting. And this is now your number 5, right?
Yeah.
So what's your 5?
My number 5 is Tales of the Arabian Nights.
All right.
This, I really loved it. It was just this whole idea of this, you're almost, even though you're competing, I don't feel like it's competing too much. I feel like I'm just making my story almost and just exploring the Arabian, like the area, and it's just all this mythos that I haven't heard like 100 times over, like Greek mythology and stuff. So it's so interesting and fun, and then to have these fun stories, because we do have stories like, you see a house on fire, what do? I drink. What? I drink. Okay. And then it just...
Then you look in the book and he drinks.
Yeah. And then I don't want to say anything more because you should give it a shot. And just all these fun little choices and stuff. It really does feel like...
Well, that's another one that certainly has endless replayability. I mean, maybe not endless, actually. If you play it enough, you may read that whole book.
Right. I mean, if you come across an encounter like that one that I mentioned, you'd be like, oh, I know what this is. But still, I feel like it's fun because I'm not playing to win almost. I'm playing to make a story.
No, that is another extremely fun, if you like choose your own adventure books, it's the next evolution of that for sure.
All right, so my number 4, and this is one I don't think anyone will ever know.
I can't wait.
But we've talked a lot about it on the show.
Dino Hunt Dice.
Scribe's Arena.
Wow.
Now, we've talked about a lot on the show before. It's pretty much if you combine like Magic with Hangman. And to me, I love it because it just takes the word game to a whole new area. It's not just choosing words. It's to be annoying like, oh, I'm choosing Xerox or something. It's actually playing, thinking like, okay, I can cross these words off. I'm going to cast this spell to do this and stuff. And just, to me, that just makes it so much fun. Like every time I feel like we have fun playing it. Even if someone chooses a really stupid word.
To be clear, when you said Magic meets Hangman, you meant...
Magic the Gathering.
Oh, you did mean Magic the Gathering. Oh, I wasn't sure if you meant the game or the magic.
No, I meant because it's actually, you actually are casting spells and doing stuff.
Right.
So, and it's not just the basic word game either. So I think it's such a beautiful marriage of the two.
It is definitely one of my favorite word games. Yeah, for sure. We've talked about it on the show before. It's great. So that's your number 4?
Yeah, and I would say it's definitely it's one of the games I feel the saddest about because I feel it could do so well, but I don't see it anywhere.
Yeah, I think it was Kickstarter, right?
It was.
So yeah. Well, we're maybe giving it its due now. All right. So my number 4 is legendary deck building game. So I'm gonna say this is legendary, a Marvel deck building game. You could, if you want, expand that to the other legendary system games, etc., sequels that build off of that. I kind of do personally feel that Encounters is a refinement and in many ways an improvement upon the original Legendary system. But for me, as a huge Marvel fan, and the amount of expansions and how many different options and variants there are within the game itself, that's my main pick, is that original Marvel version.
Now, I'm going to go a little bit ahead just so I can take in this conversation, because this is my number 3.
Okay. Okay.
So I might as well just say that now. And luckily it was right next. I'm really glad they're next to each other at least. Because, I mean, deck building to me is one of my favorite game mechanics. And Legendary has done it. And personally, I actually like the Legendaries better than the Encounters. Because, to me, one of the reasons it has over the DC deck building game, for example, is the DC deck building game is very hard to mix, I feel. I feel like you got to play with the core set. You can't use the heroes from the core set with the villains from this set. It's a little bit... Well, in this, you could be like, okay, we're going to play with Spider-Man, Wolverine, Venom. And you even could pull still the Encounters heroes and Ripley and stuff. And to me, I think it does... Because it gives each... And the other thing with the DC deck building game is like there's one Superman card. That's it. Maybe two. And you're not really... But I feel like I can build... If you use Spider-Man, Spider-Man has a theme going on. Wolverine has a theme in his set. And I don't even care if they reach the point and start repeating that multiple characters are the draw heroes or something. To me, like, it just gives each of the characters their due. And I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a big... Like, if I weren't a big Marvel fan, this wouldn't be on my list, honestly.
I think it'd still be... I love giving the characters their due. And I just feel it's the perfect mechanic for other properties as well. Like, I mean, we've said they're making a Buffy one. I want them to get Transformers and things like that.
Yeah, no, part of it is this. I don't know if it's nostalgia for me. I don't know if it's been around long enough for it to be nostalgia, but we have just been playing it for so long, and I have tons of great memories. I know that a lot of people are, myself included, sick of the deck building game, and I think that
the thing is, I actually want to play it more. I feel like I want to go back.
But I also feel like when it comes to deck building, I almost think, and maybe people can comment and say if they agree with this or not, that like your first deck building game is often your favorite, and because a lot of them share so much. Like, had I played Ascension before Legendary, I might have played Legendary and thought, yeah, this is really cool, but Ascension already did it. But that wasn't the case for me. So maybe I think that has a little bit of an impact on it personally. I also obviously like it a lot more than DC. I don't know. I guess I'm a little surprised it's that much higher than DC for you.
Well, I'm gonna admit that I'm not tired of the deck building aspect. I know fine
you
with
are
that mechanic.
But one
like
of the
I said,
but I mean,
to me, like I just feel Legendary. Like while I like the DC because it's one that hits the table, just I think a lot because you just grab the core set and you go for it. Because Legendary has more mixing, and I think it does give a property's characters their due more.
Yeah,
and I just enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, I do think we're kind of strangely in the minority of people who just, well, maybe not the minority, but certainly who would have it that high on their lists. We both are really big fans of Legendary. I'm surprised you also put yours higher than mine, and I'm the one who owns it all. So I don't know what that says, but
that I don't get tired of deck building games.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I just love these other games that much more. So I'll say my number 3.
I feel like at this point we should go back and forth because we're in the top 3.
Well, yours is already, we know yours. It's Legendary, right?
But then you shouldn't go 2 and 1, I feel.
All right, sure. Just changing the rules mid-game. All right. No, it's fine. My number 3 is The Resistance / whatever other version of The Resistance you want to say, Avalon with expansions. But I'm just saying The Resistance for my choice. Hidden role elements is one of my favorite things in games. We've talked about it ad nauseum on the show. And that, again, I feel is the poster child for that in games. Far outclasses anything like Werewolf or Mafia, which I really never want to play compared to this, not including like the one-night versions and stuff like that. It's easy to pick up. Any group really can learn how to play it, but it creates some of the most intense, frightening moments that you could have possibly with your group. Friendships could be made and broken throughout this game, and with the amount of expansions, but even with just the base, there's so many. We usually would play like 3 games in a row. Like, we used to play this all the time when we had larger groups. I just don't get tired of it.
The funny thing is, I am tired of them. Like, well, I enjoyed them, but like now when I play them, like I really hope I get the common, like the villager.
I think that comes more from, because I know you aren't really a big fan of like lying during games, right? Like it's
not even lying; it's backstabbing. I guess would be the thing.
And as I said, I love that.
So does this say something about our character?
Yeah, we've had these discussions too. But yeah, that's definitely I can't imagine I will ever get tired of it if I haven't at this point. So that's my number 3. So what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. And I'll throw Mythos Tales because it's really just a reskin, I feel.
Okay.
That's not like, because it is, once again, almost the choose your own adventure kind of style, but it's solving a mystery and you get newspapers and you're looking through for clues and stuff. And I love this, how we work together and we're talking like, okay, we went there and we're writing down notes and stuff. And I just love that cooperative spirit it brings.
I agree.
Yeah. And and it's puzzle solving. I feel like the best puzzle solving you can get out of a board game.
Yeah, we've had lots of great times with those games.
Yeah, and I'm really grumpy we haven't been able to play them again because every time we're like, we can't get the right people. I'm like, God.
It's a great game to just like hang out with You could have like a bottle of wine, and some cheese and crackers, and a cigar, and you're in your study and play some classical music.
Ironically, most of those stuffs we would not have.
So should I do my number 2?
Yeah.
I guess that's what we're doing. My number 2 is Robinson Crusoe from Portal Games. That is designed by Ignacy Trzewiczek. Cooperative. The theme is perfect, dripping with theme. Like Cyclades, I would say this is another perfect merger of theme and mechanics, where it is very heavy and very thinky and a little fiddly. There's lots of bits and lots of different decks, but the theme is so strong. Maybe not in spite of that, but maybe even because of that. And because it's cooperative, I think it's a lot easier to work together, to parse all those different details together. It's just one of the smartest, best games. In fact, the second best game, in my opinion, that I've ever played. It is super heavy, but I never feel intimidated by it in that way. Even though I know it's going to take a long time, unlike a lot of other games that I may love that are heavy, I'll get tired of them by like hour 3. Robinson Crusoe, it just gets more intense and more fun, and I love the different scenarios. And I haven't even tried the second edition version of it, which I don't think is too much different, but I'm excited for that. So that's my number 2.
All right, we are on the number 1 spots.
Oh, your number 2 was Sherlock?
Yeah, because remember, my 3 was Legendary.
Right.
And so far, that is the only game we've shared.
And I think it will be the only game that we share.
There's no way you have my number 1.
I have no idea, honestly, what your number 1 is going to be. I will stop predicting because...
All right, I'll say my number 1 first.
Let's hear it.
My number 1 is the Arkham Horror, the card game. To me, this took all the stuff I loved with Arkham Horror and kept the good stuff without the bad stuff. It's shorter. You still play very personalized characters with your decks, but the story is much more condensed. Like you're playing through scenarios. So we went through the core. I played through the core with my friend and went through a little story, and even the standalone packs. And it was so much fun to be like, okay, what's happening here? What's here? And like reveal and all this bad stuff, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a night gunk comes flying in. And then I bought most of the packs for the second one, and I'm really excited to play them. I just haven't had a chance to play with to get the people together for it. But I know I'm going to be in a museum. I'm going to be on a train, like all the stuff we always talk about. We want to be on. Like
we're always saying, wish I were on a museum or a train right now.
I mean, in a board game or like in stuff, and the stuff we love, and then just like it just does the mythos so well. And I know because it's an LCG, I'm going to keep getting new stuff. So I'm going to keep getting this great story, and it's everything I want.
Well, I have to leave. No, and it was your number 1 of whenever that year was.
Yeah, no, and so I just feel like it's done it for me. And
consistent.
And I feel bad that I haven't had a chance to really play it with you yet.
You've played it a lot more than I have.
Right, I've only got to play one scenario with you. Of the games, like that's the one I'm like, Jonathan, I got to get you to play more.
All right, so Arkham Horror, the card game, your number 1. I think you could guess what my number 1 is.
Monopoly.
Based on what I haven't said yet and what you know about me. But it is Battlestar Galactica.
I was actually thinking when you mentioned Resistance, like, wait a minute, how come he hasn't mentioned that yet?
It's because it's my number 1, and sadly, they may or may not be coming back in print. It's kind of up in the air right now. But I already said what I like about hit and roll games. This takes that theme and atmosphere of the show Battlestar Galactica, which I love, but you don't even need to know anything about to enjoy this game.
Still have not watched the series
In fact, when I first played it with Neil, he then went out and watched the series because of how much he had fun with the game. This was one of the first games that I played, and it exemplifies everything that I said I like about games earlier, I feel. Cooperative experience, but with that, the hidden traders mechanic that adds so much to it. Everyone is always involved every turn. You're never out of the discussion. Everyone feels important, has their own different roles to play. The different types of rules you can use, spaceship combat, different boards and expansions. The voting system, I think, is really smart. It does what I think Robinson Crusoe does also, which is marries that theme so perfectly to the mechanics where you're not thinking, I need this number to do this. Sometimes you are, but I feel like majority of the time you're thinking, I need to get that Cylon off the ship. And that to me is the mark of like my favorite games, is when it immerses you so much that you can forget about the mechanics to an extent and really be part of that story, which I think many of the games that you talked about also do the same things. Obviously, Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, no, I literally chose games about stories. I mean, I feel like in fact, most of my list probably. I mean,
so we've gone through our entire top 10s now.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say your list was very surprising to me. I did not. I feel like you had a way more, party, or maybe not even party, but storytelling or less heavy games than whereas mine I feel like is much heavier compared to yours, and yet I think in any one of those games you would probably beat me on an average basis.
Well, it's because I guess to me when I think about like Cthulhu Wars, I really love. Like that was almost an honorable mention, but first off, there's a bunch of expansion stuff I know, so I'm like, oh, I gotta play with all that stuff that I want to. But to me, a lot of them, like especially when you start getting more to the top of my list, like I love just having a story told and I feel like these games have been able to do that. And sure, I love winning, like beating you in some of the games, like you mentioned, that you say I suppose it would beat you, but I don't know if I have a higher rate.
Well, I just feel like because you definitely have you pick up a lot faster on the game systems and strategies than I do, at the very least, and so I would feel like you enjoy that, but I guess you don't necessarily always like the stuff you're good at.
Well, I think the other reason is I like the storytelling games. I feel when we come out of Dead of Winter or Battlestar, we all come out glaring at each other, even if you win or not. When you finish Sherlock Holmes, you all come out of it like excited and like. Yeah,
I feel you. I guess.
And I think that actually shows in also our picks of how, like you said, you really love the hidden traitor role. You almost like seeing the personal conflict and almost the puzzle solving of people. I don't.
Well, what I like is the I like when a game evolves past just being a game, kind of like what I was saying. Like with the Resistance, it's not just about, oh, what card did you play? It's about, you lied to me. And it doesn't have to, that's just the obvious example, but it doesn't have to be about lying.
Understand.
But like when it can be something like Two Rooms and a Boom, for example, is another great example of a game that does this, where it's about more than just
but that's still lying.
You're going to play. Well, not sometimes, but not always. Some could be working together. It could be making something like that. So I really like that social aspect when it's married very well to the theme. I think almost the only game I had that is really like abstract is Hanabi.
Did I have
Everything
any abstract
else
games?
Has a very
I
thematic.
don't. I did not have any abstract, unless you count Scribe. No, that's not even abstract.
Scribes, it's a little bit. I'm surprised that was on your list too. I gotta say.
I just feel, even though I'm bad with words, it's just every time we play, it's so much fun.
No, I'm just a little taken aback. I love that game, but most of the things on your list I would never put on my list. I didn't think our tastes were that different.
Well, I guess for me, it's not, the problem is, and this is where it comes to a top 10, we're at the point where we played so many, where it's just because I don't hate your games.
Of course. Right.
These I'm just always excited to see, and I'm like angry that we haven't played them enough in some of the cases.
Anything on my list that you really hate?
I have to let me see your list again. I mean, no, most of these I'm not as fond in some ways, just because I think I have a sour taste in my mouth, so I don't think it's the game's fault, of Cyclades. Like, I just had once such a bad game that when someone looked up, like, I gave him more islands. No one should have ever had that many before. But I think that I don't hold it, because I've still had fun times with the game. Yeah. But I will say there's one on here I realized, like, I think once we were on 7 or 6, I'm like, oh, crap. It almost is another Scythe.
I mean, it was our number one game.
And I want to play it again.
Of 2016, but it would be like top 20 probably, not my top 10.
I want to play it more. I'm like, that's why I said, like, for a lot of my games, I don't know how, for you, like I said, if someone would be like, hey, let's play this, I'm like, in my head's like, oh, yes.
No, yeah, that is pretty much that is a lot of what went into my list.
Like, that's why, like, I don't know, I don't know if I could argue most of my games. I think maybe my top 2 I could argue, I'm not sure about the rest, of being an actual top games kind of list.
Yeah, you'll notice on our list absent Twilight Struggle.
Well, I feel like I haven't played that.
Pandemic Legacy.
But I want to.
Many of the other well-renowned games that are on a lot of people's lists, but
I guess I will say on Pandemic Legacy and in some of the I like the Legacy engine style, but to me I haven't really found one that. And I feel like the problem with Pandemic Legacy is just because we played Pandemic so much. I'm just like, it's almost Catan to me. Yeah,
that's another thing is like, I love Ticket to Ride, but I really did skew more towards the heavier side.
No, and I love my heavy games too. And I think part of the problem also is our group. Like, we need a timer. And that's why for Arkham, to me, it's because the single player aspect. It's not the group playing aspect.
Right. Interesting.
But that's why the card game, I feel, the card game fixes all that's wrong with it.
Well, I'd love to hear what other people, who you side with. Do you agree with either of our lists? Do you think we're both morons who have terrible taste?
Am I an idiot for still liking deck building games?
Or you know, do you love them both and we made up your exact top 20 somehow amazingly, or top 19 because we did share one.
Somehow you actually have like his top 5 and my bottom 5.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know if you've decided now to never take our opinions on any board game seriously again because you know what we like. You can leave a comment right here on YouTube or email us, rollforcrit@gmail.com. Post your own top 10 right in the comments.
Right, and if there's any other topics you want us to just talk about, or maybe another top 10 list idea that you want us to hear from us, let us know.
Yeah, give us a ring.
You can let us know down below. Of course, we're also on all other places. We're on Twitter @RollForCrit, Instagram, Facebook, down the corner of your house on the street.
Yeah, that's where we'll be. And you can find lots of great games to purchase, many of which were our favorites today, at rollforcrit.com. Great board game store, great prices, plus all our videos and links, just like this one. Really fun stuff for you to check out over there. Again, we thank you for enduring this with us, and we hope that you will join us for our next week's episode, and hope you have a great week. I'm Jonathan Estis.
I'm Will Keeler, and this has been Roll for Crit.